welcome to our Rotarian Daughter Day. It is so great to see all of you. It's such a wonderful day to celebrate our daughters, and this is always one of our favorite programs of the year. Before we get started, a huge thank you to Betsy Higgins. Where is Betsy? And, oh, there she is. And to our friends from the Center for Puppetry Arts for getting us kicked off in great holiday style. Thank you so much. To kick us off today, our President-elect Stephanie Blank will lead us in our invocation. And following that, we have a special treat. Bill Hennigan's surrogate daughter, Eve Gigliotti, will join us by video to sing the national anthem and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Eve is a lead mezzo-soprano with the Metropolitan Opera in New York, and she can be seen this January performing with the American Symphony Orchestra in Carnegie Hall. So we'll enjoy hearing her beautiful voice right after Stephanie.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is so wonderful to see so many daughters, granddaughters, nieces, and members here today. It's been a long time since we've had a packed house like this. It is also wonderful to look out across this room and see balance today. I see just about as many female faces as I do male ones. While some might find this an unusual way to start an invocation, both the Jewish scriptures and the New Testament frequently mention balance and equality. Proverbs 11:1 says, "A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." And Psalm 89:14 says that righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne. God also tells us in Proverbs 2:8 that God will protect those who treat us fairly, and if you listen to God, you will know what is right, just, and fair. Even from the beginning of humankind as marked by Genesis, the Bible says that God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. And in the New Testament, Galatians 3:28 says, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, neither slave nor free man. There is neither male nor female. You are all one in Jesus." As Rotarians, our four-way test asks in part, is it fair to all? And will it be beneficial to all? And for me, that last question is why we as Rotarians should care deeply about the education and opportunities, the advancement and successes of our young women and girls. Almost half of the world's population is female, and here in Georgia, it's more than half. Again, I think God illuminates the importance of all of us, men, women, girls, and boys, living to our fullest potential, utilizing all our strengths and talents, and can be found in the words of Matthew 5 that said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works." Let us pray. Dear God, please guide us as mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles, mentors and friends, so that we do all that is in our power to lift up our young women and girls, helping them live to their fullest potential. May we help strengthen the half of our humanity that is female, so that each and every girl has the opportunity to shine her unique light into the darkness. And in doing so, may we help create a brighter, more just, and balanced world for us all. Amen.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Hello, my name is Eve Gigliotti, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Rotarian Daughter Day. I welcome all the daughters, and I want to give a special shout out to Bill Hennigan, who is my honorary father. It is my honor to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. But first, I want to remind everyone in this room today that girls, young women, and women can be whatever they want to be as long as they work hard to achieve their goals, including singing at the Metropolitan Opera. Now please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you so much to Stephanie and to Eve, and we will be back very shortly. Welcome again, everyone, to this wonderful celebration of our daughters. We are honored to have with us as our featured speaker, Rosalind Brewer, the CEO of Walgreens Boots Alliance. Roz, welcome to you and to your husband, John, and daughter, Cameron. So excited to have you here. And to all of our amazing daughters, such a warm welcome to all of you. If you are a daughter-in-law, a niece, a granddaughter, any form of daughter of a Rotarian, please stand now and remain standing. Wow. Thank you so much for being here. That is just wonderful. We also have a number of additional guests. If anyone who is a guest, not a daughter of a Rotarian, but could you also please stand so we can welcome you? Wonderful. And I would ask of that guest group, any of our Spelman students who are here in honor of our speaker's alma mater, please raise your hands. Welcome to our Spelman students. Awesome. Finally, I also want to say a very special welcome to my daughter, Caroline, who is here from the University of Colorado, and to my father, Blaine Kelly. I am a Rotarian, I am a real estate developer, and I am who I am in so many ways because of my father. I'm so happy you're here, Dad. I have to say, Dad is back at Rotary for the first time in, I think, about 2 years, and he will turn 94 next month, so it's a really wonderful treat. Okay, sorry, I thought I could do that without getting choked up. All right, now I have to put on my safety hat. We have so many friends and loved ones here today, and more than anything, I know we want to send everybody out to be safe and healthy for the holidays. So I would ask now if you could please put your mask back on if you finished eating, or just as soon as you finish eating. We just want to keep everybody safe. I heard a rumor that Bill Hennigan borrowed one of those shepherd's crooks from a nativity scene, and he's going to have to pull it out if we have anybody he needs to use it on. So thank you all for your cooperation with that. I want to say a huge thanks to all of our sponsors. As Caroline and Cameron said, I think we have a banner year for gifts, and we have a couple folks, Hala Modelmog, Jennifer Grant Warner, who couldn't be here, but I know Jim Breelove is here on her behalf, and Rodney Bullard from the Woodruff Arts Center and Fernbank and Chick-fil-A. They were just so generous, and we really appreciate their sharing these wonderful gifts with us this year. So special thanks to them. So now I am pleased to introduce to the stage the mastermind behind today's program, Helene Lawless, our fellow Rotarian. Helene serves as president and CEO of Path Builders, an organization focused on moving women forward and increasing gender diversity in leadership. Helene has been recognized by many sources, including the Wall Street Journal, for her expertise in women in the economy. She's a great friend to this club. Just recently, she chaired our membership committee and totally defied gravity by recruiting all sorts of new members, even in the middle of the COVID shutdown. So, Helene, thank you for your leadership, and I will turn it over to you to take it from here.
Thank you, Catherine. And were the girls fantastic or what? Wow, 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 wow. Well, I am so excited. One of the things I really wanted to do today was to showcase some of the absolutely fantastic female members that we have in the club. And so I put the call out and asked if there were female members who would be willing to give some advice to all of our daughters today. I am so honored to have an amazing group of female leaders to share some thoughts with you. We call these the words of wisdom from the women of Rotary. They're from all sectors, from business, nonprofit, education, healthcare. And with our daughters and our guests here today, we just couldn't resist showcasing these amazing ladies. You're going to see a fantastic collection of women answered the call. I'm so happy to share their words of wisdom with you.
Hello, Rotary daughters. My name is Kathy Waller. My advice for you is very simple. Remember when you were really young and you asked why all the time? Now, probably annoyed your older siblings, if you have older siblings, or it probably annoyed, maybe you annoyed your parents. But asking why is very important. Those 3 little letters change the world. So my advice to you is continue to ask why. If you look around you, most of the things that have happened in this world happened because somebody asked the question, why? Or at least why not? And I personally believe we'd be a better society if we all understood each other better, which means we need to ask questions. We need to ask why. I have potentially annoyed a lot of people by asking the question of why, but I can bet I've made fewer mistakes by asking why. So my advice is very simple. 3 letters. Ask why.
The best advice that I've been given is to not grade myself day to day. If I think about each day and whether or not I got everything done at work, did I respond to everybody I needed to respond to? Did I get the kids to school on time? Did everybody get a good dinner when they got home and get the attention they needed? I probably won't give myself a good grade each day. It may be a C, maybe even an F. But if I stretch it out to a week, I'll probably be a little bit more thoughtful about it and think, it's pretty good. Maybe it was a B. And if I stretch it out to a month and really look back at how am I doing and managing it all, that might be a B, even an A minus. I mean, I can think about it. No one died on my watch. Probably a pretty good month in trying to get it all done. And so the lesson's really just have some grace for yourself. You're doing better than you think, and don't judge yourself day to day.
One of the best pieces of advice I've received is to basically spend a certain percent of your time or money every month giving back to your community. Volunteer at your local food bank, volunteer at your local pet shelter, get involved in your church, read to children in after-school programs. But I have met the most interesting people and developed amazing friendships by getting involved in my community, including Rotary. So that's my advice. Spend a certain amount of your time or money getting involved in your community and giving back.
Long ago, someone very wise shared with me the importance of finding a mission that resonates with you, identifying something you care about so deeply that touches you to your core. Whether you believe it's your calling, a cause, a passion, we all have at least 2 or 3 missions that resonate within us. What moves you, gives you energy, brings out your unique gifts and talents, and enables you to make an impact. Finding what makes your heart sing can truly help you create a meaningful and rewarding life.
About 20 years ago, I was so stressed out about all the things that I just didn't feel like I could get to. And one of my very favorite community leaders and mentors said to me, "You know, you can do everything in life, just not at the same time." I can't tell you how many times I've called on that in my life, and I would offer that as great advice.
As a chemistry major at Spelman College, I remember being inducted into the Science Honor Society. I don't remember the speaker's name for the event, but I've never forgotten her words. She said, "You've all learned how to succeed, and now you must learn what to do when you fail." I shared the honor and the message with my mother, and she elaborated on that. She said, "You may fail, or someone may trip you up. What's most important is to know how to get back up and keep moving." That served me so well over the years, and I still use that thought process today.
Prepare to change your mind when you learn new facts or when circumstances change. Flexibility is not a sign of weakness or lack of resolve. And never ignore a good idea just because you weren't the one who thought of it first.
You know, if I were having a conversation with my younger self, I would say, listen more and give people the opportunity to speak. There's a simple rule that I try to follow, which is let 5 people speak before I speak again. And I believe that helps you really listen to diverse thought and opinions when you're having a conversation.
Hello, my name is Gretchen Corbin. I'm president and CEO of the Georgia Lottery Corporation. And I have to tell you, in work, it's just the same as life. If you will bring 3 important components to the table, you will always succeed. Number 1 is be present. Show up early and often, stay late and give your best. Number 2 is work hard. Always do the best on your task and go a little farther. And number 3 is always be kind. Treat others as you want to be treated, and I promise when you combine those 3 pieces, always being present, working hard, and being kind, great success will come your way.
I wish that I had learned earlier to dream big. Our minds are very powerful, and with big dreams and hard work, there is no limit to what we can accomplish. A career is a journey. There will be peaks and there will be valleys. We should acknowledge the valleys and celebrate the peaks because we learn from all of it. For me, the more that I have focused on purpose bigger than self, the more rewarding my career has been. Enjoy the journey.
Just a few of the absolutely amazing members that we have. Thank you to each of you for taking the time to be a part of that little video. Wow, now I am so excited to share the stage. We are so honored today to have Rosalind Brewer with us, our featured speaker. Knowing that Daughter Day was on the agenda months ago, Catherine said, "Oh, what if we could get Ros Brewer to come to Daughter Day?" And hearkening back to those days of doing brownies together and things at Westminster, she pulled those strings to make that happen. You all know Ros as the CEO of the Walgreens Boots Alliance, where she leads 400,000 employees in a pharmacy business on the front lines during a pandemic. She was previously Chief Operating Officer and Group President at Starbucks and President and CEO of Sam's Club. In Atlanta, we know Roz for a stellar career at Kimberly-Clark, culminating as the president of the global Nonwovens business, but representing a career trajectory that took her from the lab as a chemist to the boardroom. Roz is number 6 on Fortune's list of the 50 most powerful women in business. She is one of 41 female Fortune 500 CEOs and one of only 2 black female CEOs of Fortune 500 organizations. She's a director on WBA's board. She has served on corporate boards including Starbucks, Amazon, Lockheed Martin, and Molson Coors. She is a proud Spelman grad, currently serving as the chair of the board of trustees of Spelman. I heard that clapping happen over there, yes. Spelman recognized her in 2017 with their Legacy of Leadership Award. She also serves on the board of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. What you may not know is that Roz was the subject of a question on Jeopardy! In May of 2016, I vividly remember running madly around my family room as I screamed, "That's Roz! There's a question about Roz!" and grabbing my phone to take this picture. This is a real live shot from my television. Roz, John, and their family have called Atlanta home. I'm so proud to know that she is a graduate of the programs I now have the privilege to run at Path Builders. She has keynoted the Atlanta Business Chronicle Women's Leadership Forum, and I'm especially honored to say that in 2019, she was inducted as a laureate into Junior Achievement of Georgia's Business Hall of Fame. I look forward to sharing a conversation with her today. Please welcome Roz Brewer. You chose to lead a pharmacy organization with 400,000 employees during a global pandemic. Talk a little bit about why the pharmacy business, why now, and what are your biggest challenges?
Right, so, first of all, it's not always a good idea to jump right into the fire, which is what I did. Left my wonderful latte days for vaccine administration and everything else, but it's been a good time to do this work. Ultimately, for me, joining Walgreens was a chance for me to bring everything, full circle for myself. Right now, everyone knows what's going on with the pandemic, and leadership is needed. And it gives me a chance, Helene, to really bring my head and heart together on this subject. And so far, we've been able to administer almost 55 million shots in arms across the U.S. That's the U.S.
that's
alone.
totally worth it, yeah.
55 million. And we're doing the same with testing. We're one of the largest testing centers across the country. So this is meaningful work, just trying to keep people alive right now. But also, too, in my life at Walmart and Sam's, those units had retail pharmacies in them. So I had a little bit of experience around retail pharmacy. I will say this is a bigger challenge to try and do it right now during a pandemic, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, it's such a treat having daughters of all ages and, friends of Rotary here today. I know people want to hear about your story. And so a chemist, starting as a research technician, talk a little bit as you look across your career trajectory, what were powerful turning point experiences for you?
So there were several in my life, starting off in research science and my background, in polymer research and things like that. I loved the bench chemistry, but after a while, I really wanted, something more. So my career for me was, leaving Spelman College thinking I could do absolutely anything, right? But I had no idea what I really wanted to do. So I jumped into my place of that I was most familiar with, and that was the sciences. And that was great for me until it became extremely boring. And I just decided, to talk to my leadership and say, I'd like to have a little bit more business exposure. So I was placed on an M&A team, mergers and acquisitions, and the company at the time, we were buying a lot of new companies, trying to move away from a paper company to consumer products. And so I was put on the M&A team to look at the patent estate. And so to value the patent technology, and I knew all of our technology really well, but I didn't really have a business head. But when you're locked in a room with a bunch of lawyers and a bunch of finance people for 2 to 3 years, you learn a lot. And soon after I finished that, the company sent me to the Wharton program to take a hiatus away from the company and I did one of the advanced management programs, and it really helped me from a business standpoint because I didn't have that part of but it's a 7-day a week, 10-hour a day, sort of a mastermind of a lot of different talents in the room, so it was a great learning environment. And then, the opportunity came to do something different. I thought my career would all be Kimberly-Clark. I spent, 20 years there. And the opportunity came along to join Walmart, which I had a relationship with them as on the other side of the table, selling them diapers and other things like that. And I joined retail. And it was interesting because at the time, I left Kimberly-Clark as a group president, and I took a vice president's job. So not like one level down, I went like 5 levels down. Right, just to learn retail. But I knew if I learned something different, I thought maybe it'll take me a little further, and it did. So I joined Walmart in 2006, I guess, and I stayed at Walmart for 10 years, and it was a great experience. I started as a vice president. 4 months later, I was senior vice president, executive vice president after that. Then I ran half of Walmart stores, and then was asked to. I was considered for the Sam's job, and I joined the job and took the position from Brian Cornell, who left to go to PepsiCo and then Target. And so that was absolutely a huge learning experience to work in the environment of Walmart Stores, Inc. It's a very unique culture, but one that I learned a lot about. They absolutely are the best retailers. I mean, they know retail because it's born and bred, and members of the family were still, and to this day are still part of the company. So the values were really strong. Some of those values needed to be stretched, and I knew if I could get on the leadership team and affect, 2.2 million employees that they have, that would be great. So I joined the executive committee of the board and of the team, and worked under Doug McMillan, and it was a fantastic experience. And then absolutely to the day, 10 years later, I left and decided to just think for a second. And it didn't last very long. I left to join the board to expand my board service. And at the time, I was on the board of Lockheed Martin, and I took the Starbucks board seat. And I had been on that board for maybe 2 meetings. When I was leaving one of the meetings, they called me back. I'd already made it out of there. I was going to a spa for the weekend. And I get this call, can you come back to Seattle? And I'm like, not really, not right now, but in like 4 days. So I went back, we had conversations, and I had no idea they would ask me to join the operating committee for Starbucks and join the new CEO, Kevin Johnson, as his chief operating officer. And I thought it was a fantastic idea. I had fallen in love with the brand. I was like, okay, this sounds great. Now, it was Seattle, so I commuted back and forth. My daughter, Cameron, we had just moved her from Bentonville, Arkansas, so I have to tell her, thank you again for coming to Bentonville, Arkansas for somewhere around 5 years. And we did that, and then Seattle. But I joined Starbucks, and it was a fantastic role and opportunity. Spent 4 years there in total. And then this opportunity came to me to consider Walgreens Boots Alliance. And I thought long and hard about it because I was really enjoying the Starbucks experience. But, to really, at this point in my life, I had done so many wonderful things for just to grow and to impact communities. I think, Helene, most people who know me, whenever I'm in a position, I try to do as much for the community as I can for the companies I work for. And so this opportunity of Walgreens, the community part was so huge, and everything was happening. And I guess you could say I was part of the Great Resignation, right? It was like it just clicked for me and said, you know what, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go try to impact this whole pandemic thing and see what I could do. So here we are.
So you unbelievably graciously said these opportunities just emerged around you, but how planful were you in your career? How did you think ahead to the sorts of roles that you wanted to explore?
Yeah, that's I'm happy you made me pause on that, because quite honestly, I'm not that kind of person that says, oh, I like that over there, I'm going to run in hard and get it. Because to be honest with you, I'd never once thought about Walgreens. That it never hit me. But I think I'm very clear about the no in life for me, and so what I don't want to do. And when I get to that point, like when I made the statement I left Walmart in 10 years, I was deliberately thinking about 10 years enough, I'm ready for a change. Although I didn't know what that change was. But I know when I've had it, right? And I know when it's time for me to refresh. And so that's, I think, when I think in my head and reflect back, that's, I think, when I make my best decisions. When I'm reflective, when I go a little bit insular and begin to think about what I want for myself and my family, I usually am very clear about that. But I'm not planful. It's a little bit different than saying by such and such date I want to be. Like I never thought I'd be a CEO. That was never, I thought I'd be a chemist, or I really thought I'd have like a cool sales job, That I thought was like the coolest thing when I left Spelman. And there's some parts of that I still like. I love being around a lot of people, and so that's that sales thread that I sort of have, but it's kind of like on a larger scale now.
So I want to stay right there. So you, a tremendous amount of internal motivation, a tremendous amount of belief in yourself, perhaps even sometimes more than other people had in you. And I would love for you to share, because there was certainly a leader that you had somewhere along the way who did not see you as a CEO.
Oh, absolutely. I was that quiet little girl in the back of the room for a very long time. I remember walking into rooms and, I always felt like, I always had to study and know all the answers of things. And, I stayed at that research technician junior level for quite a while at Kimberly-Clark. I was continuing to learn and learn and learn, so I enjoyed it. But a lot of times I did not know how to use my voice. I mean, I was so afraid to speak up until there were people who would start calling on me, right? They were like, you're just not going to sit in this meeting, right? So they'd call me out. And then I also got frustrated with myself because I hear other people saying my answers, and I'm like, okay, I should have said it. And then when I would say it, someone else would repeat it and get all the credit. You know that story, right? Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm getting really angry with this. So I had to force myself, though, because I was very, I actually felt like I walked into so many rooms and felt like nobody cared to hear my voice because, little black girl walks in the room, whatever, go sit down somewhere. And so I never felt counted in until, there was a gentleman at Kimberly-Clark, my boss at the time, and he was a mean son of a gun. Oh my goodness, he was mean. And he was actually mean to me and everybody else too, until I said, okay, look, we're not gonna do the 4-letter word thing anymore. I don't like that. And so when I stood up to him, he was like, oh, nobody stands up to me. But that kind of thing I don't really tolerate. This is where I get to, where are my no's in life? What do I tolerate and not tolerate? And so then he was like, wow, she told me I can't curse in front of her. I was like, yep, that's right. We're not doing that. And so then he took me under his wing and he taught me about how to manage my stock options. I had probably 2 of them at the time and just thought, whatever those things are, I don't know, I don't care. And then he was like, do you know what those things are? And then he just started coaching me and we became good friends. But there were times too where just after that wonderful sponsor of mine, I ran into, the leader that all of us has probably experienced, and some of the young women in the room you'll experience, where I was in my performance review and my boss says, well, the company had just started to do this psychometric and critical thinking testing, which I know you know a lot about. And so he said, well, you know what, I actually don't think that you are as smart as you think you are. So we're going to, switch your role around and put you, in a place where I was like, okay, all right, that's good. Didn't like that response. Knew that probably wasn't a fair assessment. And I moved over to another unit at the time. I just said, okay, I don't want to work for him anymore, as he was puffing his cigarette in my face that day. And I was like, okay, total disrespect, but I got it. Okay, so I moved on and I moved to a job that I really did not like. But I did it well. It was a job nobody wanted. It was so small. It was just like in a dark, and actually I was in a room, like they pushed me down the hallway too. It was an awful thing. And, but I did the job no one else wanted to do. And I turned it around. It was a small little business, about $100 million, and nobody wanted to do it, but I turned it around. They were like, whoa. And so I think it was because I was so angry, about it, that it made me do some of my best work. And so things went on, and then when he retired, I got his position, so that was really great. I like that.
Such a great story.
So it was good.
So I want to go back because you used the word tolerate. And when I think about your trajectory, if you were in that position where nobody was listening to you, and now as you've progressed through leadership, there have no question been times where you have contemplated, do I say what I'm thinking, do I not say what I'm thinking? As a woman of color, contemplating the code switching that your head is automatically telling you to do. Talk about how you've moved through that to find your voice.
Yes, that's you know, I've learned to sort of read my audiences and watch my cues. I heard one of the women speak a little bit to that on the tape earlier, but you know, that's that hard balance in there where at first, you know, I was always apprehensive to say, am I saying the right thing? Are the right people in the room? Who am I talking to? And after a while, quite honestly, that became very stressful for me to be so controlled and, you know, trying to get it right all the time.
Hard to do your best work in that,
Hard to
right?
do your best work. Yeah. And so after a while, I just had to throw in the towel. It was extremely stressful trying to manage. And then after a while, I just said, you know what, I just am who I am. And I am going to screw up, and I have screwed up. And so, but the more stressful thing for me was holding back. So rarely do I take my time. And like the woman said earlier, maybe not the first voice, but sometimes a second. And then sometimes I kind of blurt out because I'll be like, you know, I get kind of passionate about the things that I love. And so I will blurt, you know, I'll go. And so, but now I guess in my last roles, it's like, it's automatic now, you know.
Yeah. So how do you foster that when you see a young woman, particularly a young woman of color in the organization?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you foster that?
Woman of color or not, but I have to say this, sometimes I think this is a female phenomenon. And when I'm in rooms, you know, kind of a large group, 20 or 30 pre-COVID, you know, you'd see that quiet person sitting there and you can almost see their wheels turning, right? And so I love to pick people out and put them on the spot and, you know, give them their moment and their stage moment because I could just see it. I could just see the anxiety that they have about being in the room, the discomfort. They've got to have something. They at least made it in the room. So I usually pick people out and say, what are you thinking? What do you know? What are you thinking? And I think it's helped some people have a voice, you know, and once you just start hearing words come out of your mouth, because I still do it sometimes, did I just say that? And then, you know, you kind of have to retract. But when you hear your voice and you get comfortable in who you are and comfortable in your skin as well for women of color, you know, but it takes practice, right? Someone's got to hear you. One of the things I've learned through everything we've seen in the social unrest and racial injustice in our country just recently is to realize that there is a large part of our population that have not been seen or heard in a very long time. And they sit silent and they're lost. And it takes someone to start having these very candid conversations or to pull people in. Yeah. People just want to feel valued.
So I'm willing to hazard a guess that your well-roundedness, and I'm sure that began at Spelman or even before, was a key component in your being able to draw from so many different areas of your life to be successful. Were there activities that you were a part of? Were there things that you did that really helped you to be you? And as you think especially about the daughters who are here today, what would you recommend?
You know, I think when you say well-rounded, to an extent, right? So after a while, I was just pretty much, you know, mom and, you know, my career. But I think back on the days growing up in Detroit, Michigan, when I walked to school in, you know, 12 to 15 inches of snow. We didn't close schools when it snowed. And my school was 13 blocks from home, so how else was I going to get there, right? And those are the days where you had to pull the pants up under your dress and walk like a snowman. That was me. And I always thought, you know, now that I look back on it, is that my hard work started just getting up every day because my mom at the time when I was 3, I was probably one of the youngest latchkey children. I was a latchkey at 3 years old because my older siblings would leave and I would have a 45-minute window. My mom worked the afternoon shift. She'd leave and catch the bus at 2:30. And my older siblings would get home at about 3:15. So she'd prop me up in the window on the back of the couch, and all the neighbors would walk down and say, "Don't you get off that couch." You know, they'd be yelling at me. I'm like, "What?" And I'm standing there like this every day, Monday through Friday, in that window, because I knew I was going to get a whooping if one of those women got that key.
They'd tell mom.
In there.
Yeah.
So But that to me was what, when you say well-rounded, that's what really shaped me.
Formative.
Was watching my mother catch the bus to work, and us, I'm the youngest of 5 children in Detroit, and I think that is that hard work ethic that I refer to sometimes, and, not having the luxury of playing a lot of sports when I grew up, but I played piano and I ran a little bit of track. Cameron ran real track. I ran a little bit in junior high. And so it's those kinds of things that really shaped me and made me kind of push when sometimes things are very difficult to get through.
So I alluded to in your introduction, so one of 41 women, one of 2 black women. When you think about that role, when you think about the platform that it creates for you, A, how do you think about that mantle, and B, what do you want to do with it?
Wow, yeah, it's pretty sad, quite honestly, because there's so many talented women. When we heard the stats earlier, Stephanie mentioned to us, it's 50% women, so you would think that there would be some closer correlation here. I think I try to do everything I can to mentor young women and also be, a great peer to men that are in key positions when, particularly when the situation happened with George Floyd. I had a lot of my wonderful white male constituent CEOs call me and say, Roz, how do I do this? What do you think? I could have gotten angry and say, why are you calling me? But instead I was like, clear the calendar. Okay, I have a chance now to, tell them how to, make change happen and what the expectation of them is. And, if I could play a role, I did. So I took every one of those calls. And so I think it starts with very candid conversations. And, many times I'm in meetings and I'll be that person to lean over and say, you probably shouldn't have said that, that kind of thing. And, just try and elbow a few people and just, teach and train. I think every moment are leadership moments to teach and train, and I take advantage of that.
Okay, so how do they react to the probably shouldn't have said that?
They, first of all, it's sometimes a stun because I think they've been in such,
Nobody's saying no.
Homogenous environments. They're like, well, what was wrong with that? I was like, well, do you understand that when you say that you're referring to, and they're like, I never thought. Some of it is innocent, and then some, we've had some challenging conversations, like, well, this is the way I was raised. This is the way, we think about it in our household. This is the way my grandfather talked about it. But when you begin to talk about conversations and get really candid about, are you allowing your kids to socialize in, different environments? Well, we live in the suburbs. Well, are you taking them to other areas, right? So I have those conversations. I talk about the things that my family and I do. And they're like, that's different. We wouldn't have done that. Well, that's what we do in a black family, right? And so we talk about our traditions, and I think it begins to break down walls. And I just hope more people can do that and start these kinds of relationship building. And more has been happening.
Yeah.
What an awful situation we've all been through, but I think we are probably ending up on the slightly better side of things. Yeah, it's a gift. Yeah.
So stay on that theme. So that's how you have used your personal platform, but what do we all need to be doing inside organizations and in our education system to move women and women of color forward?
I think myself included, we've all been, victims of trying to hit diversity numbers, and, we have to play, a bigger role now as leaders. And, the D in the DE&I think has been satisfied in some cases in some numbers, right? We all know how to get numbers done. I don't think we've done well in equity, and I think we've done really poorly in inclusion. And so with equity, I know one of the things that I always do whenever I take over a new unit, I go to HR and say, can you run all of my executive salaries for me? I want to see where they are. And so when I see that women are at 70% of the salaries, I'm like, so like by tomorrow, can we do like a salary handling for Jane? And I've done that so many times. And after a while, it'll happen in my area and then, someone else's area, and it'll bleed through. And then, this happened at Starbucks, and then we were able to say we had 100% pay equity for both race and gender. So I began to add the racial component in it because the data got better, because a lot of companies didn't have the analytics in that way. And so now that analytics are everywhere, let's use them, right? And so what are we learning about our workplaces? And so I've encouraged the organizations that I'm a part of to have both race and gender pay equity, which is really what all companies should be doing. I think most are getting there. Yeah. And I think the other thing I think we should be doing is really looking at our environments. And again, I thought I had that all worked out being a double minority myself, but when I walk in rooms, I can still tell that they're not inclusive, right? There's some people who are still not seen or heard. And we have to, right now it's a golden opportunity. We have flexible work arrangements, so we're all looking at the future of work. And in that, we should be putting a diversity spin on that and say, so how do people want to work and when are they at their best selves, right? And so how do we create that environment so everybody feels like they can give and, building agile teams, putting a comp sci person next to a finance person. Sometimes that's explosive and you add a digital person in there and it is a crazy conversation, but it's diversity of thought, race, and gender. And so it begins to blossom, and I think it's the way I think we're going to start seeing, more minorities in tech, if we really press the environment and say, what should our workplaces look like? Yeah. I think we'll have some natural outcomes if we pay more attention to inclusion.
So now start earlier. You
Yes.
chose to study chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Why, and how do we get more girls to think about that?
Yeah, the sciences. So for me, back when I was very young, like about 6 or 7, I went to public schools in Detroit, Michigan, K through 12. And around 3rd or 4th grade, they do all the testing and stuff. And so I tested in math and science. I didn't know I was that great at math because at that time girls weren't
supposed to be good.
Weren't supposed to be good. And they were like, wow. So then what they did at that time is if you were good in math and science, they put you in music classes. I don't know how many people went through that. So they thought if you were good. So then I started in violin and piano and I took that. So that kind of stayed with me. And then, having that understanding of myself, I went to a vocational high school, Cass Tech in Detroit, where you had to pick a concentration. So I was a chemistry and biology major in high school. And then before my freshman year at Spelman, I interned at a pharmaceutical company. So come full circle now. I know, right? I didn't realize that was going to happen. But, I think just that stayed with me. But I will tell you that I think it was probably the best thing I ever did because, now the biggest challenges I have in my job as CEO is just being a true analytic. I mean, I have to study everything and I like data. I like to make my decisions not only from my gut, although that usually happens, but I pay attention to data and the science. And that's been really the best thing I could have ever done in this pandemic was to pay attention to the science because it has led every decision I'm making for the company right now. So It is a full circle moment for me while I'm not a chemist, doing bench chemistry like before. I think I'm relying on it more than I thought.
So what gives you the most hope for moving women forward, moving women of color forward? What gives you the most hope?
When I hire young women, they are they're a lot more open than I was. When I'm mentoring young women now, I have to talk about the boyfriend, their girlfriends, and they're already ready to bring their whole self to work. I was not that way. And so I just feel like we better get ready because these women are more ready than we are to receive them into our environments. And so we've got to get ready because this next generation and the young women I get, the benefit of hiring and being around, they're ready for so much more at a such younger age than I was. I would say that they've seen more. They've seen public murders. I did not see that growing up. I never had a range of emotions from seeing that all the way. I was, we grew up in, a decent area and I never saw those. So these women are coming with a lot of heavy, but a lot of good, and many of them are asking me about, I had one young woman, every now and then I'll dip into some of the interviews that we have. And this woman was just quizzing us on our environmental position. And she turned us down because she was just like, you guys aren't doing enough in sustainability. And I was like, she's right, but I really want to hire her. But we lost the hire, right? Yeah. So, we've got to get our game together because they're asking a lot of us. So I'm excited about that. If they're ready, to push like they're pushing, we have great things ahead. I'm excited.
Love it. I'm sure I could ask her questions all day, but I am sure there are a couple of questions out there. Catherine's going to help me in highlighting some folks who want to ask some questions.
I talk really loud. Can everyone hear me? I think Abby's got a mic for you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Steph.
So my question is really more of a personal one.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times about all the young women in this audience and the people that they are going to choose to give both their heart and their mind to, and how important that can be. And I'm wondering for you if you think that it's not that a partner is necessary, but how helpful has it been for you to have somebody by your side that's celebrated in your journey and your growth? And how important is it for young women? You mentioned them talking about the boyfriends or the girlfriends.
Right, yes.
How important is it to surround yourself with people who are with you on that journey in all the positive ways?
Yeah. So it makes absolutely all the difference in the world. My husband, John Brewer, is here with me today, and we've been married for 33 years. We met at Spelman and Morehouse, and I will tell you that one thing that we were very clear on from the very beginning was that, how we wanted to raise our children. And Stephanie, that made all the difference because it took sacrifices, right? And so we both made sacrifices. There's some, I chose not to take an international job. Most of my work has been here. Sometimes I commuted, I didn't. And John was always there just supporting and really cheering me on, especially in those dark days. And so it's great to come home to someone. And also, too, someone who I would say is evenly yoked, right? So I think it is, for me, it was the absolute game changer because for the people that I've employed in my life and around me, when, when they can't manage the home piece, when it's a priority for you to manage the home piece, and you don't have that, the day job falls down. And I know for me, my worst days are the days when my kids are not settled. If they're having, someone that you and I both know very well told me this message. So this is Arthur Blank quote, who said, I'm only as happy as my least happiest child. So Kylie, he maybe has said that to you, but he has said that to me before, and I believe it. And I'm stir crazy, and if I get a call during the middle of the day, because my two children, my son John and Cameron, they're everything, right? And it doesn't matter after that. So I would just impress upon young people to really think that there is going to be a time where it requires some good balance and someone just standing by you, a good partner to stand by you, like John did for me.
Great. There's one in the back.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking your time to speak with us. Who or perhaps what has been most inspirational to you, and what aspects of them or it, as it may be, has made them inspirational to you?
Yes, so I would have to say it was my mother. My mother was not college educated, and she was, married to my dad for a long number of years, too. And, my dad worked 3 jobs, and she was homemaker and worked. And just to see that play, I replay that in my head. I enjoy cooking, so I try. When I'm in town, I cook almost every night that I'm at home. I love the kitchen, and I think I took that from my mom, but it gave me balance because I could be that career woman who hired everyone around me. And I've really never really liked that, right? I wanted to do it myself, but it's made me keep a very close relationship with my family as I've been on this journey. So I would have to say absolutely my mom. She pulled it off like a champ, all 5 of us. So she's it for me.
That's great.
Hi. First off, it's so nice to actually meet you and see you in person. We all go to Spelman. You're sitting at this table. So my name is Alexis Parker. I'm a dual degree physics and civil and nuclear engineering major. And
that's all? Is that all? I just wanted to say. That's amazing.
Thank you. And so my question has to do with what you did over the summers. I know you were a chemistry major at Spelman. So how did you take those summer internships or research positions and really grow? And what did you learn from them?
Oh yeah, now to me, if you're a college student, the summer internships really make or break you. I did have one, before I came to Spelman, and then I was a General Motors intern, so I came back to Detroit every year and worked, and I actually was able to work in the chemistry lab, and so for me it was great. biggest thing I got out of it was just being in the corporate environment, seeing, different environments. And then there's some fun things about it too, meeting other kids who are at different institutions. And I remember my first internship at GM, they gave me a big Cadillac to drive. And so I thought that was the biggest thing. I'm in this big hog, just driving through Detroit. I thought that was pretty cool. But you learn a lot. And then, you get mentors in those environments too that stick with you. And what's so interesting, Mary Barra, who's the CEO of General Motors, she and I interned at General Motors the same summers. And so we reconnected after all these years, and it's kind of fun. So you never know. You'll know those folks for life. So hopefully, I don't even need to tell you, you'll have an internship somewhere, I know, for sure.
One more near Sagar, I see. Yep.
Okay, so hi, my name is Bailey Rogers. I'm a junior economics major at Spelman. So, as a junior, I'm, being presented with a lot of different internship opportunities, and I'm having a little bit of difficulty figuring out, what opportunities I should take. So what advice do you have for us about figuring out, what opportunities we should take?
Sure. So, first of all, you're in a good resource center, Spelman College. There's some great resources there. The great thing about an economics major is that it does give you, I understand exactly why you're not real clear, because you're in a space where you can go from academia all the way through to finance. My son was an economics major in college, and he's doing fintech right now. So, you can go a lot of places with an economics major and degree. I mean, you learn so much. And it's so data rich, which is what I like about it. I could give you some advice and, encourage you to, lean towards the tech side a little bit of economics. I think that's a long play for yourself. But, use the resources on campus, because those are fantastic as well.
Abby, you have one? Yep, there we go.
Hi, thank you for coming to speak so much. My name is Kelsey. I'm a senior at Boston University. And my question is, throughout all of the industries you've been in, who have you realized is missing in the room the most? And within everywhere you've worked, what has been the best practice to get those people in the room and include them?
Yes, I like that question. So, I still see a deficiency of Black males in the room. And I would tell you, Latino, Black and, women and men, Latino, and I think they're missing in the room. I would tell you that, some of the things that we need to do better as an industry and, corporate environment is, like we just talked about, internships are great to introduce and to make sure that these people get seen and get the visibility, because sometimes you have to really search. The other thing is, I would really encourage those that are close to academia in the room to begin to look at your student base too. And I think we need to see them in broader segments than what they're in right now. And I think that would be fantastic as well. And then just making the decision. Sometimes, when you're looking at a candidate, you make sure that the pool of who you're looking at, we're asking for a 50-50 slate right now. So I won't interview a panel until I know that there's been a 50-50 split of diversity in there. And then encouraging people, helping people understand what happens in that interview process, right? And so all of those things. So I think, we've got to be deliberate about it and intentional because it's not naturally happening on its own. The numbers aren't there.
I think we can have one more question over here.
See that person.
Hi, I'm Charlie Arena. So I was wondering, you've done a lot with your life, and I was wondering how you're not scared, of failure, I guess.
Oh, not scared of failure. That's a good question. I've been scared a long time in my life, but fear is detrimental. Let him get that mic. So fear can really be detrimental to you. It is something that I think we should all sort of work out of our DNA, because it can hold you back tremendously. But after a while, I just got over it and said, you know what, I don't expect, I don't require much, financially. So if I make a mistake, what's the worst thing? And mistakes are some of the best learning moments in my life when I've made some of the biggest mistakes. I remember once I almost closed one of the largest manufacturing plants for Kimberly-Clark because it was underperforming. I mean, if you looked at the financials, it definitely had to go. But then I realized it had the best innovation happening in it. But I didn't realize that until I was like on stage and I was delivering the press release. And I was just thinking, this is just not right. And we were just about to announce the shuttering of this plant in Munising, Michigan. And I said, just doesn't feel right. And I called it and stopped it. And almost lost my job because of that, but I knew that that wasn't the right thing to do. I was about to make a big mistake. And so you can't, I said, you know what, I'm either going to get fired or all these people will have a job. I think okay, we'll kind of work through this, right? And so I was nervous. I mean, I was scared as heck, but I did it because I knew that I was, I was making the wrong move. And so, fear can really take the best of you. So please work out of that as best you can. It's not easy to confront it, but you've got to, make sure that you've got your values in place and fall back on your values and not the mistakes in life.
Roz, thank you.
Thank you.
It is so special